Hey everybody, this is
One,
Michelle.
2, 3, 4.
Welcome to a Blonde, a Brunette, and a Mike podcast. What is our podcast all about, you ask?
Well, we're two 50-something women with life experience and plenty to say.
Which is exactly what we're going to do right now.
We're just going to slide right into Memorial Day.
Slide and glide.
Slide and glide into Memorial Day weekend.
And we're halfway through.
I know. Well, we've
already done a bit of celebrating.
Too much celebrating.
It's good.
I know. We've been celebrating since last weekend.
This is true.
Yeah. And we have our friend here. We're so excited to have her. She's hanging out with us for the weekend.
She's hanging over out.
She's hanging She's hair of the dogging out with us for the weekend. You know, it's not often that you turn 60. And Mary Beth Cronyn, who's here from Boise, Idaho, is here to celebrate her 60th birthday with us, even though she doesn't, probably mad at me for even bringing it up, right? Because she doesn't like being the center of attention, but we told her no audio and video together. So she said she would talk to us today.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm the
like
one that's doing the hair of the dog.
Yeah. Okay. So for our audience members that are not familiar with that term, you know, like Michelle, for
Like
God's
me.
sake. Yeah.
Ooh, I like hair of the dog. What is that?
So I said that to you last
I
weekend.
know, but
Oh my gosh, so much in college.
well, there you go. I didn't go to college, and I wasn't that college partier, so that's probably why I don't know what hair of the
wasn't a
dog means.
Partier.
Oh my God. Hair of the dog. Often.
So what is it for those? I'm sure I'm not the only one in life that doesn't know what this is.
My favorite is a Bloody Mary the morning after if you're really hurting. So basically you're
Your body's
introducing
in-
a little bit more alcohol so that
To even out that
Yeah.
you don't feel good already.
Yeah, isn't that
just
weird?
seems counterintuitive to
it
me.
does.
Yeah,
It does, but it works.
It does. Oh well, it must.
Well, last weekend we were in Vegas last weekend, and we were at the pool on Sunday, and you know we were leaving Sunday, but we'd been out Saturday night, and that was my martini night. I was trying to be strategic and just have little martinis, and I don't know, they kind of turned into big martinis. But I'm like, hey, should we get some hair of the dog? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want any alcohol, so I'm just not gonna. She's like, what's that? She didn't know what it was, so I had to explain it to her. It's the day after kind of a like imbibement that just levels you out and takes a little bit of the edge off the hangover.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know.
that I could do that.
That's not something we want to get in the habit of.
No.
By any means.
Well, and at our age,
Yeah.
2 weekends in a row, girls. What does that say about?
I know. And Eileen's going out again tonight. I'm like, oh, for God's sake, girl, stay
Yeah.
home.
we're just busy individuals.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are busy.
Busy individuals. Yeah.
Yeah, no more for me tonight.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to stay home tonight.
So now I'm on the tail end of you all, just trying to catching up, to 60.
Yeah.
Now that I'm now that I'm officially, 59.
I know.
And but 60, like these birthdays, are they? I mean,
I think we should have every birthday at this point be a milestone.
is there a mind shift?
Do you think
MB,
there's a mind shift, MD?
turning 60?
Well, first of all, I'm just not even a week into it.
I know,
but
is there like the leading up to it? Is there leading up to it energy in your mind that is kind of
has
fucks
been
with
for
you
me.
and just
There has been for
So
me.
curious what your thoughts have been leading up to your 60th birthday.
Well, historically, this has been about 60 has been about retirement and slowing down and your golden years and doing all the things that you plan for and save for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Historically.
That you have the health for.
Yes. So that's a whole different mindset because it's always been somewhere out here.
Right.
Right. So now it's kind of thinking about, what am I going to be going forward?
it's like a whole new, what am I going to be when I grow up?
Sort of.
Like a chapter.
But it's a new
Sort of.
version. Yeah.
Do I want to, because now we don't retire at six, well, some do. Some
There are those
are
that
fortunate
do,
enough
but yes.
to do that. I'm not there yet. I really want to max out some savings. But so now it's kind of like, do I want to keep doing what my skill set has been? Or do I really want to really switch gears and do something to give back?
Makes you happy.
Yeah. And so that's really where I've been centered. It's no longer around kids. We're done raising kids. So 40 and 50 weren't.
40 was a blur.
Yeah. We were in the middle of teenagers then, right? So you're busy doing that and surrounded by like activity adults.
Yeah.
50, I was the last one, was just going out of the nest into college. So I still had some kid stuff. Now we're empty nesters, seeing a little bit more of our grandkids. It's just different. It's different. It's a slow down.
So let me ask you something though. It's like, so you have been married to Mr. Foster for 30 years, right? You guys just had your anniversary. But he's 7 years older than you. Do you notice, like when you were younger, did you notice that age difference, or do you see any difference now that you guys are in your 60s, but he's in his late 60s and you're just like rolling in? Do you feel like your mind is in a different place?
Well, it's funny you say that.
Because he's retired.
Couple things. First of all, his body, this guy just put in 650,000 vertical feet on the slopes.
I know.
So he's in better physical shape than I am.
Awesome.
For no question about that. But I think that he's still questioning kind of where I am because he is fully retired.
Yeah.
But he still has all of that intellectual energy to put somewhere.
Right.
So I think we're like in that, which tells me, you got to have a plan for what retirement is, because there's still
be twiddling
all
your
this
thumbs.
energy.
Yeah.
The energy has to go somewhere.
So maybe decorating. I'd be like, tear the house apart. Let's redo the whole house.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that.
Okay, let's travel to somewhere exotic.
Isn't it so interesting how everything is different for every person?
Yeah.
And what time means to them, and what is meaningful as far as how they're spending it. All of that stuff is different.
Yeah.
For everybody. I was just, you brought up the age difference, and I have a girlfriend who her parents, there's an age gap, and it's been a struggle. Unfortunately, unlike you and your husband, MB, these two, the dad is older. And now that the mom's finally retiring, she was, always envisioning traveling and doing all of those things. Well, his health is failing,
it's declining.
They can't do any of that stuff. And so it's been a challenge for them as a couple, not being able to carry out the things that they thought that they would be doing. And now it's a whole other different dynamic.
Now you're in care mode.
Yeah. All those things that we don't plan for.
That's the problem when people end up retiring later. Going into the crash time frame, people had lost 30-40% of their retirement in investments and things. Some people didn't have retirement investments. It just really depended upon where they were at in life. But we were in a position where we lost all that. We lost our house value, all of that, but we weren't anywhere near retirement,
Right.
So it wasn't something that was going to impact us. We just kind of just kept moving forward because, what goes down will come up, vice versa. Well, there are people at that retirement age and then going into the pandemic and all of these things as you dial forward several years. And now we've got this inflation issue, and so people can't retire, or they don't have the money that they need to be able to sustain themselves. And, the life expectancy is much longer than it used to be.
So to your point, yes, for the first time, I wasn't thinking about my own mortality in 40 and 50, but at 60, we're starting to see friends have failing health. We're starting to see friends and family around or closer to our age leave us. We're starting to see some of this stuff, and we want to live the way we've always lived. We want the vacations. We want the trips that are now elongated because we don't have to work.
Right. Well, the things you had kind of thought about, here's where my mind goes with the whole getting older thing, and kind of the next chapter is that there are so many things that I've put off. It's like, I'll deal with that later. I'll experience that later. This is not the right time, blah, 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 whatever it is, And now I'm at that point where I'm like, well, I can't really be putting shit off that much longer, because I'm not going to have the time or the capacity to do it or the ability to do it. In 20 years, I might not have that ability. I might not even be here. Yeah. So, so that's where I struggle with it a little bit, because I feel like I've put a lot of things off. It's not regrets, but it's more kind of a realization that, you never thought you'd be 60.
At the same time, though, just I'm listening to you say the things that you just pointed out and putting things off and the things that you haven't done. But I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, she's done so many things. You've done a lot of things. There's so again, I guess I say that just to say back to even in the other topic we were talking about, how everything is so different for everybody.
Right.
It is.
You know, and focusing on, I would imagine, as I'm starting to see it myself as I'm getting older, focusing as well on the things that I have accomplished, not having regrets, even where it seems like there maybe could have been, but what did I get out of it? And not
You're looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, the different perspective, and what lies ahead and what is behind, and what did I get from that, and what can I take from that moving forward into this really last chapter. I don't say that in a bad way, but it really, it's like the last. Who said last night? Somebody last night was saying the last quarter, and I think Rick, is talking about how
Her sweetheart's here, just FYI.
It's like the 4 quarters. We're in the last quarter here of our life.
I always thought about it like thirds for some reason, but
Yeah,
I guess
I
it
did
doesn't
too.
really matter.
My brain always goes to,
Maybe
okay,
only because we're not going to probably be 100.
well,
I
think
mean, my
all
mom's
of us,
only 3 years from that.
I know your mom.
Who
All
knew?
right.
She outlived all her life insurance policies. We're like, okay,
Her
mom.
mom, yeah.
but and they didn't used to, right? But
Yeah.
all of us are fortunate enough to have parents who made it to their 90s,
Yeah.
and here you are at 60, right?
Yeah. We both
And
have moms in their 90s.
Yeah.
I was just saying that last night. There's so much appreciation
Mm-hmm.
for all the people that you love around you. Last night was so fun.
I know.
Julie, I can't thank you enough. It was just so fun
Okay,
to be
so
with the kids.
it's a good
Audience,
Rick.
MB's birthday I mentioned, right? She's like, you absolutely will not have a party or do anything like that. I was like, of course not. We're not going to do that. But we're just going to have some people over.
A little gathering.
Little gathering.
social gathering.
But it felt like that. It wasn't
Yeah.
like this formal, fancy
Right.
thing.
We were
that
just
I was
like people that love each other getting together and having a good time.
Exactly. And nobody really cared. Like she's saying, well, don't you get stressed out? And I'm like, it's my family.
Yeah.
They don't really care if the dishes match or, if everything is in the right
But
color.
see, that's
They
a
don't
good
care.
thing. That's such a good thing, because that's why I hate events that stress you out.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way.
Well, the party started when Michelle walked in with martini glasses and made the most beautiful.
What were they called, Michelle?
We called them. They ended up being called the Sexy 60 Martini
Oh boy, was I sexy.
Yeah.
and 60
And 60.
and it was a martini. Yeah.
Oh boy.
But she sat out on the deck and with the
It was
fireplace
full
going
all
and
night long.
it's
It was
weird
full.
seeing her with my kids who are like her kids. She's known them since they were babies, and they look at her like a second mom and they just feel very comfortable, around you. And it's not like we get to see you all the time. That's the thing. I mean, I've seen you more since the pandemic than we had for 10 years prior to that. But that's when our, kids in college, she's got one off doing volleyball. I've got, my kids were doing crazy things at that time too. We weren't really spending time on friendships and
Well, see, and
things.
so here's part of this new chapter.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly. It's not focused around our responsibilities to our
Yeah.
children.
Sure.
Now it's focused on all the things that we put off because of those responsibilities.
Don't you feel like we're kind of reaping some of the rewards now, though, with our kids? Not rewards monetarily or anything like that, but you see them growing up into humans that you're like kind of proud of, and you're like,
way proud
yeah,
of.
you're going. I mean, it's kind of weird to see.
I love your guys' kids. I love
We know
them.
you love Isaac.
Oh my God, no, let's not go there. Yeah. Okay. What was that?
She's not the first one.
No.
Come on
Okay.
now.
What was that?
When you were here- when you're here for my
sexy
birthday.
60.
Yeah.
Well, all the other women. I'm sorry, I was not trying to.
I know that she was just bringing up about how gorgeous his skin was and blah blah. And he is. Let's just say he is. You're outside. And you're like,
beautiful
let's
man.
just face it, you guys. I know this sounds really perverted, but he's fine as hell. I started laughing because she's right, and I don't
beautiful.
want to sound like a pervert either, but she's kind of right.
But even more than that, I mean, he was talking.
Yeah,
I know. Mr. Silent had some words.
Yeah, he had some words last night.
And that kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
And I was literally sitting and having all these great conversations with the kids. They are amazing young adults.
Yeah, it's weird.
And you and Brian must be so proud. And Michelle, you and Rick also. I mean,
well, and that was the other thing. This was the first time. Well, Brian's been over before, but with the kids and stuff. But this is the first time I've had him over with the kids, and MB was here, and then Tate was here, and it's just, and Eileen was here. There was a little bigger group than would be just my
family,
main core of family, and I think he was maybe a little bit nervous at first because he wasn't quite sure, you know, he was saying, whose phone number is that? Who's going to, because I had him in a group text. And I was like, just come on over. Everything, you know, it's
all
cash.
cool.
Yeah, it's all cool. Everything's cool. So it's nice for us. Like we were messaging when he left. He was like, it's great that we're in the place that we're in now. And it's taken us a long ass time, 10 years, really 9 years or so to get here, but we're here now. And it's like the kids are grown, and we're both looking at things from a completely different perspective, you know, which is nice because there's not that ugliness and tension and all the crap that went along with the divorce.
Not everybody's able to do that.
No.
oh my gosh, absolutely not.
Well, Tate's done it.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just listening to you and thinking it's nice, that we have done family things now with him and his girl's mom and myself, and just all together as a group. And
the girls always want you there.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's nice that, again, just like you said, that they're able to be in that place where they are moving on and able to do that. I'm not so sure with my ex, if it would, I'll never know. Unfortunately, he's passed on, but I don't know that it would have.
That would not have been the same kind of relationship.
Yeah, I don't know that it would have been able to have been. I would have hoped that it would be, but that's why I say I don't know that it can be that way for everybody. So it's nice, definitely, when it can be, for sure.
And for sure, Michelle, because I do not have that relationship at all. Foster's ex, there is no relationship there.
Yeah.
And strained relationships with the two girls I raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes a strained blended for even our Riley.
Yeah.
So it's true. Not everybody has that. I'm gonna call it grace.
Wherewithal.
Because however you guys move through it, to give the other one grace after there's so much hurt when, you know.
Yeah.
So kudos because it's fabulous to be able to share your family.
I mean, and that's the first time I haven't seen Brian since he coached Isaac.
Really?
He's
retired now, so he has time to come hang out.
Yeah, it was good to see him and just see him with the family. I saw him when he came over that one time, but it was very brief. It wasn't interactions like actual conversation. It was fun to have Isaac here and to see Brian, because Brian did coach him, and just, you know, all those different dynamics. It was a good evening.
It was an awesome
Thanks for having
evening.
a birthday, MB, and turning 60.
Yeah, you need to do that more often.
Well, remember, it's Memorial Day weekend, so a lot of people had short days yesterday.
Or no days. Yeah, they didn't work
yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of things. I haven't seen Brian since before you guys split.
Yeah.
So it was great. In fact, I think Zoe sent me a picture, and it was right after Andrew did the political bomb of something about Trump and Biden, and then left the room. And the picture looks like Brian and I are going at it.
Oh, he's got his finger.
It's hilarious.
He's not really a Trumpster. I don't think he's a complete Trumpster.
I don't think we were even talking
okay,
about
Julie.
it, but it looked like
It's okay if he is.
Actually, you're right.
I mean, it doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, I have no control over any of that, right?
It's okay.
My children or anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about two of my children.
And why
Okay,
would you-
maybe just one of them, but Zoe will always be, you know, on my team. The other two, not so much. And so this is the other thing too. Andrew and Amelia were here, and Amelia had a little going away function, yet another one with some work group, and she leaves on Tuesday, and she's moving to Austin.
Yeah.
They're doing it. They're moving to Austin. So it was a little bittersweet as I'm thinking about this last night, because we didn't really talk about it there per se. It was more, I was looking over at him, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at him, and then I'm looking over at Brian, and I'm just like, I'm sad, but I have to be really cautious about saying anything because I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
You know, but it's good for them. This is what they need to do. But Zoe was like, Mom, he's never coming back. I was like, yes, he is. She goes, no, he's never going to live here again. And I'm like, well, yeah, probably not, but he'll be coming back.
Yeah.
He'll be coming back, and the new dynamic now, speaking of your time, is okay, so now you have part-time in Texas.
I know.
Yeah. And I mean, same thing. You got a whole chapter that's going to be new. You're going to have a daughter-in-law, grandchildren at some point. But I mean, those wheels are in motion for that.
It's
next phase.
that new chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so cool to see it. I mean, I don't know about you guys. You think about it, but it's one of those things that's far off. And then when you're actually in a social situation where you're witnessing it, it's kind of like, man, I did.
Well, I think it's really
exactly.
Yeah.
That was what I was like, kind of looking at these guys, and you can tell this is kind of like just more my observation. I don't know if you guys picked up on this at all, but my kids are happy seeing that we're all in the same place.
Yeah, they are.
For sure.
They're not visibly, oh, this is great. You know, it's mom and dad are in the same, but you can just tell they're just feeling it. It feels so much better for them that we're getting along.
Yeah.
And actually, they do say it.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
No, not when I was around.
I've had a couple comments of, this just is so cool.
Well, and can I just say that, and this I think is really important in any dynamic. I'm gonna point out what I've observed over the last year or two in regard to your situation, Julie, in hopes that somebody listening can maybe glean a little bit of something from it. But it's been inspiring to watch the way that you have been able to navigate certain situations that were quite tense in regard to relationships within your family and, you know, things going on with Brian and with the kids and just different things that happen like in any family. But the way that you were able to navigate and bring things, though difficult, to the forefront because they needed to be brought forward so that everything can be on the table. I don't know if you know specifically what I'm trying to not go into detail, but you know, now Jesse, he's here at the family gatherings and everything is cool. And, you know, Jared's got someone in his life and there's dynamics, you know, wrapped around that. And
that's true.
And Julie's just like, she's been moving that broom and sweeping it, but not under the rug.
Yeah.
You know,
no, that's one of the things as an adult or as like going into this next chapter kind of a thing that I have been really conscious about.
Yeah.
And I just want everybody, I sound like Rodney King. I just want everybody to get along. For those of you who are not born until the 90s, you probably don't even know what that is. But to your point, it's like my daughter is happy. This man takes good care of her. She adores him. He's a great guy. He's a great kid. And just people, you can't necessarily just write somebody off because of something that happened when he was a teenager, you know?
Yeah, but those elephants in the room are the things that can really be so destructive and hard to, you know, I see it in my own family. You know, we just keep stepping, we see the elephant and we know it's there.
You step over it.
But let me just take one giant step over it. And that's not to disturb anything because, you know,
To this whole point, you guys mentioned this in a podcast or two ago. What I love, Julie, and you could have very easily adopted this into your parenting style. You don't work in triangles.
I try not to, no.
Oh my gosh. And that is so powerful.
Yeah.
When you work in triangles, you form a distrust that never mends.
Yeah.
So it's easier to walk around or over that elephant when you're working in triangles. When you're working one-on-one, you have to go through the elephant to get to
kick the shit
So
out of that
I wonder if
elephant.
that's more of a dynamic that you find in large, like you both come from larger families.
Look at your family. That's not true.
That's okay. Cause my immediate family, my extended family, which one would my mom and my brother be?
You're
My sister.
immediate.
My
You're
immediate. So my brother's the big triangulator. I mentioned this in one of the podcasts because he has so much anxiety about just simple little things that you and I wouldn't think about. It's part of his mental illness. And I recognize that, but he'll go to my mom who will tell him not to call me because I'm busy. And then he'll say, well, Julie hasn't called me. So then my mom will call me and say, Steven says you haven't called him. Then Angie calls me and says, you're supposed to call Steve. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just talked to him like 3 hours ago. It's this kind of thing that just makes me absolutely insane. And I feel bad because Angie gets stuck kind of in the middle. And, my mom tells me I need to be patient because he has a mental illness. And, and I'm just like, these are all things I know. I just start laughing. So I do see this on occasion with, like Jared, for example, does not answer his text messages. I get 2 or 3 text messages and I get overwhelmed. So I'm like, who is 23 and doesn't pay attention to this stuff?
Believe it or not, there's a lot. That was on an Instagram post the other day. Somebody who doesn't answer for days or somebody who doesn't answer at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So why do you even have Yeah.
That's what I have to do with Isaac.
Well, I mean, even if I call him, he doesn't answer. Yeah. It just goes to voicemail. And it's like only boomers leave voicemails, apparently. So I don't leave voicemails because I don't recognize myself as a boomer. Let's just get back to that. But anyway, so there's a little bit of that I've noticed where the older two will help the younger. Or like Zoe got to me the other day. She goes, Jared's not answering my messages. I just want to make sure he's getting will you send him a text and see if he answers you?
In case you haven't guessed, everybody, we decided today to just like plop on the couch and have a little cozy conversation. Yeah. There's no particular topic. There's no particular, point that we're trying to make.
Are you giving what do you call it? A public service announcement?
I am. Because I was just sitting here thinking everybody's probably wondering, are they just going to shoot the shit this whole time? Or what are we talking about?
This is shoot-shitting. This is girl talk.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we solve the world problems every single time we sit on this couch.
Yeah.
So we're just sharing it with your pod crew.
Yeah. And sometimes it's nice to just not have a specific agenda, coming from the planner and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not a planner.
I
try to be.
I think that's funny that you guys think I'm a planner. Because, which I am, but then MB, she was like, she really wanted to get this piercing, for her birthday. And I'm like, I messaged Zoe. This is funny. I messaged Zoe and I'm like, hey, where, her friend Holly has tattoo place and stuff. And she was like, oh my God, why are you asking me about this? And I was like, well, because MB wants to get a piercing for her birthday and she's here. And so she checks and the girl had gotten in a car accident. So she wasn't available. So she was, her friend Holly referred us to another place that was down in Seattle. And she goes, well, what's she getting pierced? And I was like, she's going to get her labia pierced. And she was like, oh my God, Mom, why are you telling? Totally joking, of course. You did ask the piercer dude about those, though.
I did.
Yeah, he doesn't do genitals anymore. And I'm like, I don't think I could do genitals at all if I was piercing.
Just because an old friend, this is years ago, back in our 40s, that was a thing. And I'd heard
it was a thing for a while
about it. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, you could ruin a person.
Why? I'm just like, why? It just makes me feel...
No. By the way, my piercing was in my ear.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everybody knows.
She did not get her labia pierced. Just
it was the ear.
FYI.
And you had gone with intentions. So speaking of you were just going off the cuff. And
I was. So we were being very spontaneous, but
yes.
I don't have
you know what Rick asked me? He's like, are your friends all having midlife crisis?
Yeah. We kind of
because I mentioned about when we were in Vegas, we talked about getting a tattoo.
Why is that a big deal?
It's not.
Brian said, you're going to get another tattoo. I'm like, yeah, why not?
And then the piercings. Yeah. Anyways, keep going.
She whenever she doesn't want to do something, she just smiles.
That's what I told. I said I was standing there silently. Julie knows when I don't say anything. It's usually I'm thinking it's not going to happen for me.
Yeah. So I'll bring it up. And then Eileen I look over at her, look over at Michelle.
I'm just standing there smiling.
Yeah. I was like, just a little one, Michelle, just a tiny one.
I don't have any tattoos. So I was
good for you.
You were going to get your belly button. And if my tummy was flatter, I would have done that too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't end up doing it because I don't have the right anatomy for it, which is fine because I'm not. So I'm just not going to do anything.
I didn't know there was belly button anatomy. That's why
she has a perfect belly button.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But remember I said that? I was like, well, I mean, you're 60 and getting your belly button and you just about flew off the roof at me.
I love it because it's something I've wanted since I was 20. It is kind of a midlife crisis
thing, but it's more because I can.
But that's what I mean. It's
I'm not going to ask permission. I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Here's the thing, because I've had mine pierced, right? So I guess I could speak on this. I've had it pierced and it's like you can represent yourself and you can be at the meeting and you can be meeting the professional and you can be a professional and you can do all the things and nobody knows shit. They don't know that you have your belly button pierced. it makes no difference on who you are and how you present yourself if you have your belly button pierced, but you can look sexier when you're on the beach.
Thank you. That's exactly. I just think it's the sexiest
It's just,
thing.
you know, and yeah. And
it's kind of like,
it's just,
why not?
It's kind of like getting a Brazilian wax.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, but you feel fine as hell. I don't know what it is about that, but
I
the
love
first
those
time I did it,
Brazilians.
I was like, I was feeling, I had a pep in my step, and I was feeling
It's kind of like when you're wearing really sexy lingerie or like some really cool lingerie underneath your like work clothes.
yeah,
Nobody knows.
It's like a little secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your little secret. You walk a little different.
Yeah.
And if you had a labia piercing, you'd be walking even more different. But I don't think she's going to do that.
No.
Oh no, that will never happen.
That will
No,
never happen. So tell me now, going into what's it like having a husband who's retired? What are you going to do? What are you going to make him get up and
Is that new that he's retired?
No. Well, yes. So
Like a
he
year.
finally
Oh, okay.
formalized it. And okay, let me go backwards for just
Okay.
a minute. You guys were talking about the belly button piercing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to quote Ralph.
Oh, that's a
Ralph
friend.
is a dear friend of
Okay.
my hubby's. And Ralph's theory on 60s is you don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. And you guys
Yeah.
are talking about it without realizing.
Right.
Yeah.
You get to this point where it doesn't matter what.
Well, it's like I pointed out that episode we did. It's like, is there really, what does 50 something look like?
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be, is there this thing that this box we're supposed to step into to
Yes.
define what it means to be that?
Yes. In society, there is. That's why we're talking about it.
Well, but
And then the 60 box, God forbid. I mean, the 60 box, you have to wear your.
what do we got to pull our pantyhose up past our knees?
Do you
and
have to wear big girl panties?
I mean,
No.
No, but that's my point.
You don't
It's
have
like,
to.
But the vision of someone that's 60 is not.
but that's our moms at
Oh,
60.
no, I disagree.
That's our
because
moms at
I
60.
remember seeing Oprah when she turned 60 and saying it was the new 40.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I think of 60 with us girls. And I remember Ellen DeGeneres's 60. And I look at these people, maybe because they're closer to me in age, and I'm thinking, man, they are doing some of their best work
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
now
Mm-hmm.
with the platforms that they have, which takes me back to what I was saying.
Mhm.
What is it? What is my next thing that is my best work ever?
Well, I think
that's
part
what
of-
I'm kind of
yeah,
embracing.
Something that feeds your soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I doubt that working for Lululemon or any of these other corporations was feeding your soul.
No, that's exactly. In fact, I think I said to you, whatever this is, I'm tired of huge corporations
Yep.
using my skills to further their
Agendas.
economic
Mm-hmm.
status in the world, because I've always worked for global companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that feeds my soul? Is it body work? Is it, I mean, there's some things that I just get passionate about.
Well, so some of that might have awakened when you went on for her birthday. We got her Reiki session.
Oh, loved
Yeah.
it.
And she'd never had that sound bath kind of thing before. So all of a sudden she's thinking, wow, this is kind of cool. I mean, just kind of opens up horizons about other opportunities. I mean, are they going to give you 6 figures? No, probably not. If you're going to set up a business or whatever, is that what you're after?
No, that's
is
not
it
what-
more to feed your soul and just like have a paycheck? It's the feeding the soul part is more important than the paycheck part.
And oftentimes when you are satisfied, the money just comes anyway.
Right. That's
Right.
true.
So I think back to your point, Michelle, about 50s, so many people are trying to still climb that ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be on that top rung. And there's still, let's face it, there's still all the societal issues that have been here for decades.
Yeah.
And do I give a shit anymore? No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's
I
something
so
else
don't
that-
give a shit.
Yeah, there's something else. There's something else. I don't know what it is yet,
There's
but I
lots
can
of
feel
things
it
to
in
give
my
shits
gut.
about. Don't get us wrong, listeners. I mean,
No, we're
there's lots
talking
of things.
about like corporate jobs and things like that.
There's
Yeah.
so many things to give shits about, but it shifts.
Yes.
It
The
shifts
shit's
to
given
different
shift.
shit.
Say that 10 times fast.
Well, like my friend Lisa, she works for a very large corporation, went back to a really big job, and she had a really big job when she left. And it's like, I was like, want to say a prayer for her every day. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I could never go back and do what she's doing. I would never do that.
Yeah.
Because you know the power of yourself
Well, just
and being self-employed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Totally different ballgame.
It was powerful for you.
It is, but you also don't have that safety net like you have when you're working for a big corporation. So you have to be more mindful of that and prepare. And, you know, and if you don't, you're screwed. Really. I mean, if you're self-employed and you don't, you're screwed. But luckily, you know,
that takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
The self-employment part.
Okay. So back to the other question, because I went back to not giving a rip. So back to your other question about being with Foster, who's fully retired, and me kind of toying with that semi place. Here's what I'm finding, and I think you'll see people when I mention this. When you finally get to the place where you're semi-retired or whatever, I've been sleeping till after 9 or 10 and kind of like vacation. Well, after a while, you start losing track of the days.
Right.
What day is it? What day? What do? So when you're working, you know what day it is. You know what is on the agenda for the day, where you got to be, what appointment you need to make,
et cetera, et cetera.
You kind of lose track of that. So you find some people who stay on a really strict schedule for themselves. They're up by 7 o'clock. They're out walking. They're have, you know, lunch. I haven't gotten there yet, but I've seen that Foster's starting to apply that a little bit.
Okay.
Just for discipline in his day so that the day doesn't turn into the next day, and he hasn't done anything that is meaningful to him.
So when he retired, did he have like visions? Did he say, okay, I'm retiring. This is what I want to do. This is what I want. Any like life goals or things about travel or anything like that? No.
And what I will say to that is because his retirement was kind of imposed on him.
Oh, it was a sudden thing, kind of.
Yeah. When you're in politics, you work at the pleasure of things. So he's
evaluating all that now.
Yeah. He is now. For sure. And we do have those things. Some of that started to percolate in our brains. Actually, when his mom passed away, we were taking some family trips and taking stock of our kiddos and some of that kind of thing, and planning on some of the dreams that we would articulate out loud. But I was still working.
Yeah. Well, and are the dreams the same? I mean, they don't have to be the same. You might have things that you're wanting to do that don't necessarily involve him, but he would support you, and vice versa. You know, he might want it, like he's a big skier, like you mentioned. He may want to do some big fancy 2 or 3 week ski trip with his buddies as like one of his milestones. I'm just making this up. I don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned.
That's not something that you would necessarily want to do.
Oh yeah, I would.
Would you do it?
They happen to be talking about that, by the way. So he does have a bunch of guys that he's raced with for years and years, dating back to when we lived here in Seattle. Those guys come from all over the country for an annual ski trip every year. And this year, they actually started talking about maybe going to the Swiss Alps next year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, hell yes, I want to go.
Yeah.
Now, do I want to ski with them? No, because they are expert, gorgeous, fast skiers. I'm a ski on the
Would
cat
you like
track.
some hot chocolate?
Yeah. I'm going to be your bunny waiting at the lodge.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to be in a place like that, because I've never been across the pond. And last fall, our 30th wedding anniversary, we had planned to go to Italy. Unfortunately, our passports had expired over the pandemic to the point where we had to reapply, and it took months. It took a couple months for us. So that was blown. So we're kind of talking through that one for this year.
So you think you might be going this year?
That was the plan. I don't know how things are going to work out. We're still talking about some of these things.
So in other words, there's no plan.
Correct.
Okay. That's code for there's no plan.
There's not always going to be one.
I know.
Kind of makes it a little more exciting.
I do love spontaneous excursions. I really do.
Yeah.
I know you don't believe me.
Well, that's why I love what you said about October and going down to
ACL,
the Austin city limits.
Yeah. That's my thing. I love to travel. I love to go see concerts. I love music, all that kind of stuff.
I have watched that. So I remember babysitting and that being on TV. It's
Austin
always on
City
PBS.
Limits?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, this is a big festival that's 2 weekends, and it's massive amount of artists. I mean, a lot of them I've never even heard of. So that's kind of cool because there'll be music we've never heard of. But I'm like, okay, we're all inviting ourselves to Andrew's house that he doesn't even have yet. The only thing, we're going to get a car. Poor Amelia. We're going to descend upon her. And then she tells me last night, she goes, oh, yeah, we've invited some other people too. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. Maybe if all my girlfriends are coming, then we're going to end up in a hotel or something because I don't think they can handle having us all. So we will see.
Well, let's just say newlyweds.
Yeah.
We probably don't want to impose on them anyway.
Well, they won't be married yet.
They're married. They're married, those kiddos.
They will be soon enough.
So when are we going to see you back again, MB? When are you coming back to town?
When's the next gathering?
Can I just say though that okay, let's talk about this for a minute because I think it's really important. We've been talking about these next phases and different things and looking back and what we've done and what we're doing, what we want to do, what we've planned, what we haven't planned. And to your point, I'm just bringing this back because you talked about it earlier. MB's been here like 3 times in the last year, which is more than over the last 10 years. So I think, have you found spending time, just kind of getting away, not that you're like getting away from awful things, but just getting away, taking yourself out of your usual environment and coming and spending time with your best friend? Is that like, does it kind of recharge your soul in different ways?
It recharges mine.
Yeah,
I know.
It
We all
it totally
feed
fills my
off
cup.
it. So yeah.
And it's something, honestly, currently, I'm really missing in my life. I feel like the world kind of turned on its axis during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And for me, I was working a lot of hours from home, living at home, and again,
Everything is at home.
Empty nester. So I'm sitting with Foster, who is also working from home. I haven't really moved out of that yet.
Yeah.
I hate to even admit that, but I am at home most of the time.
Yeah.
So when I get here, I'll say, hey, Foster, you want to go with me? And he's just like, no, I don't want to sit and listen to all you
As a girl
cackling girls.
I know.
The cackling hens.
Cackling hens.
And
like-
so,
Do you feel like the pandemic has changed the way you look at everything? Like your day to day at all? Or do you do things differently? Habits you developed maybe during the pandemic?
For me, not really.
No?
I mean, yes, there's plenty of things that were impacted. I think if anything, I'm just have become more aware of the things that go on around me and how those things play a role in my life and what decisions am I going to make as far as the effect that it will have on me, because ultimately that's going to be up to me on how I'm going to allow things to affect.
Right.
So it brought that realization to me more so than ever before. So
I find that I'm not a homebody, or I wasn't, and I am more of a homebody now. I'm very, what's the word? Content. That was the word I was thinking of. I'm very content at home. I like being home. I feel comfortable and safe and cozy here. So during the pandemic, we were in the cottage, and I mean, all I can remember was it was kind of a dark time because of all the stuff going on with the house. And then it was the pandemic, and then Zoe's dog died, and then there's dirt. I mean, it was not a good time, but I had a great time with Zoe during the pandemic because we shared a very small space for a period of time. And I think we got a lot closer during that period of time. Plus, she was growing up and, off finishing up her college and doing all that kind of stuff. So she was much more mature than she'd been when she basically started me having gray hair when she was a teenager.
And I came to visit you guys and stayed with you in that teeny cottage.
Yes.
What was that, in like August of 2020?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit later.
I don't know why, but I did. I came and stayed
2 dogs.
Yeah. I don't know why. Because I don't remember really doing things during the pandemic and traveling. Everybody was wearing masks, right?
Yeah.
But it was the first time I'd seen Zoe since before you left Nordstrom. So, oh my gosh, the maturity with that child. I could have eaten her up with a spoon.
Yeah.
It was so great to see
Just
the
the
woman that
change in
showed
her,
up,
yeah.
and the two of you very much. And if I remember correctly, things were kind of still rough in the family.
Yeah.
So the two of you and that connection was beautiful.
Yeah. And
beautiful.
I was really trying to get the others connected, all 3 of them. That's what I'd been focusing on, and very purposeful.
She just had such a great young adult outlook that I'd never, because she was still a little kid. Really, when I saw her, she was in high school and struggling, and you were traveling and Brian was working nights. And so it was beautiful to see that.
Nice.
I think the other thing too, that I don't know how you guys felt about this, but we were kind of captive audiences in a lot of ways. I was very fixated on what was happening out in the world with the pandemic and the shots, and
there was so much.
Oh my gosh, there was so much stuff, and just things that were coming up and they'd change the next day. And then you've got all of this political stuff that was happening and the BLM movement. It was a pivotal time for our country, I think. And we lived through that and witnessed all of it, and now we are, not to get political on us, but just maybe for a tiny second, we're in a election year, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff it's starting to feel like it's coming up again, and I don't like it.
It's just the politics. It's just all bullshit, and I hate it, and I'm already sick of it, and I don't care how many people were at the Trump rally, and who fucking cares?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, and it's like, then you start seeing the signs.
Are you 60?
No.
Michelle?
She's an old soul.
I just heard her say, I don't care.
Fucking care, yeah. I don't care. I'm in my 60th year. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm so with you.
It just gets overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, and it's mean, and it does not serve any purpose other than to get people riled up.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be riled up about anything.
I have to say this, just
about.
like social media, it's just like less and less. I'm interested because it's just like all over social media.
That's
and I
kind of
just
sort of one of my new things too, is less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Less news.
Yeah.
Less of those things in my feed.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
I like that club. Welcome to the club. I've been in that club for a little bit now.
Finally gotten to it.
I don't ever have anything like that in my feed.
Oh
political
my gosh,
stuff.
It's in my feed because I love news, and that's one of the things that
I
I started.
Kind of stay away from that on there.
Yeah.
I started doing that during the pandemic, and now I'm just sort of dumb.
I have too many Amazon influencers, or for whatever reason, on mine. I guess it's because I like looking at everything they're trying on. I got to tell you, Amazon influencers, your links suck. That's all I'm going to say, because I can never find anything that they put up there. I'm like, oh, those shirts are super cute on her. I get them over. Oh yeah, no, this is not going to work. Put it back in the bag, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, so when I get home tonight, my cup will be full again until I come back the next time.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be, I don't know, 2 or 3 months this summer.
Yeah, maybe this summer,
back.
or we are going to definitely plan our trip to Austin.
Okay, and sorry, I'm going back to the trip here. The other one that really filled me up was seeing Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Blueberry, wish you were here.
We had 4-hour lunch.
We did. And
we just sat at some little cafe.
She looks so good for what the trials and...
Oh, her skin looks 10 times better than mine, and she just went through cancer treatment. So there you go.
Her attitude, her outlook, she is so dialed in to what's important.
Yeah.
And it was just so good to spend time with her.
Yeah. Well, I think it probably
known
filled her bucket
right
too.
after I met you, girl. So what are we, 40 years now?
Yeah, it's been. Well, with Mary, I think it's been like 47. I've known her.
I'm like the new kid on the block.
Yeah, but you're an old soul.
You know how people come into your life and they're in your life and they never are going to be out of your life?
Yeah.
You know them when you meet them.
You're a keeper.
I'm a keeper.
You're not going anywhere. No chickens in Alabama for you, girl.
I'm a keeper.
I know. I was kind of giving Tate a hard time. It's like, dude, what's up? And he just goes, and Michelle's over there just shaking her head. I'm like, the kids are out. The kids are in college now. Isaac's graduating.
Yeah, that's when I left because he and I were talking tractors and farming.
It's time for you to move. It's too expensive here. I'm like, it's not that bad.
Oh, good old Seattle.
I know.
So expensive.
Seattle.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we probably should wrap up and try to, I don't know,
Let's
get on with our days.
Yeah, because MB's got a flight to catch. So we got to let her go for a little bit more time till the next time she's here. And maybe we should take a road trip and go to Boise.
She said there's nothing to do there.
But
who cares?
We're just sitting on the couch having a conversation.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. We could do that there.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that here. Or there. Sorry.
Here, there, everywhere. It might be just kind of fun though. See, that's something that you wouldn't normally do. So I think to just like jump in the car, leave at 5:00 on a Friday morning so that we can get there at 4:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, it's not that long, hon. It's 8 hours.
That's
door to door.
So 5 to, okay. So like 2, get there at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Cocktail hour.
Right. And then we just, Friday night, Saturday night, and then we get up Sunday and we drive back to Seattle, leave again at, we could leave
Since
at 8.
Michelle is such a wonderful planner, I'm going to let her plan that one.
I'm just saying it would just could be just a weekend, but
I'm
just,
down. I'm down.
I mean, yeah, go have drinks in Boise. Got to do that sometime so you can check it off your bucket list.
Is that on your bucket list? Drinks in Boise?
Oh, drink some Bloody Marys in Boise.
It's going to be for me on Tuesday. Amelia and her dad show up, so I'm so excited.
Are they coming to your house?
I told her you're coming for dinner, and then in a month, Brian and Andrew.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Oh, you get some. Yeah, you get some.
None of them have been at home.
Yeah, it's like we love you coming here, but we need to bring some of our blood so that Foster can see that she's
that
safe
we actually exist
with these people when she comes to Seattle. We're the ones. Yeah, we're a really fun group. It's okay when she comes.
No, these are all the midlife crisis girls. Whatever.
Midlife crisis.
The MCGs.
I'm not in my midlife. I'm in my end of life there.
Oh my gosh.
Midlife would have been 40.
No. You need to hang around with Blueberry a little bit to reframe that
was a
statement.
joke. That was a joke.
Yeah.
One thing.
Yeah.
Just before we close up. It's Memorial Day weekend for you guys. My father-in-law, my dad were military men.
Yeah.
Thinking about all of them this weekend. And when I was a kid, we used to drive from cemetery to cemetery and clean headstones.
Yeah. Memorial Day is for, people who have perished, not people that are necessarily alive. Well, I didn't really realize that.
It's for those that had served. And those that lost their lives serving in the military. So it's just a day to show honor and remember that and bring it to the forefront. I think we all have people in our life that did that, that were a part of that. And I think sadly, more and more as we move on in years, and it's not just because we're getting older, but that is less and less. I think there are fewer and fewer people that know really what Memorial Day is and that can say, oh yeah, I have somebody. If anything, it's not their dad anymore like it used to be. It's their grandfather or great grandfather.
We have Memorial Day. We have Veterans Day too.
Thank you for
those who served and gave all and gave us this country that we clearly take for granted. Yeah. And thank you.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I don't think there's much more we can say.
Except peace out.
All right.
See you later, everyone.
Till next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hasta la vista, baby.
You,
Love you too. Bye.